The PC gave us computing power at home, the internet connected us, and mobile let us do it pretty much anywhere. Now generative AI lets us communicate with technology in our own language using our own senses. But figuring it all out when you're living through it is a totally different story. Welcome to Leading the Shift, a new podcast from Microsoft Azure. I'm your host, Susan Ettlinger. In each episode, leaders will share what they're learning to help you navigate all this change with confidence. Please join us. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, this is Don Bluth, and you're listening to the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers.
You're listening to the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers, episode 37, Tinkerbell. Ugh, they're breaking Canon.
Welcome to the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers. Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, Don Bluth, and everything in between. This is a special episode today. I am your host, Morgan Stradling, here with my co-host, Chelsea Robson.
Hello, hello.
How are you, Chelsea?
I'm doing great, Morgan.
Awesome.
I feel like I haven't seen you in a long time.
It's because you haven't.
I know.
I blame you.
Why?
You've been gone.
But you
out of the country, out of town. That's true. It's my fault, too. But good news, school is done for summer. Summer.
Yahoo!
Yeah, seriously. I had finals on Tuesday. That was my last final and was, throwing books in the air as I was going to my car. Woohoo! Woohoo! I'm free!
Horrible freedom.
So it's really fun. And you're done too, right?
I am done. I got done. I was, after writing 8 papers, I had to go through. I was like, oh. But you know what? It was all good to feel. It feels so good to be done.
So we have lots of plans to do some really awesome episodes this summer now that maybe we have a little bit more free time. Maybe. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. That's the plan, right? But it's just me and Chelsea, in case you didn't know. Mason, he was really busy. I think he was out of town, so unable to do it. So Mason is gone this episode, and so he gave us the liberty and the freedom to talk about a movie that he could care less about, Tinkerbell. And I, of course, love Tinkerbell. I love any, princessy, girly movie, so why not? So
exactly.
So yeah, when it's usually Chelsea and I, we usually will focus on the cult movies, the crappy movies, and the girly movies. So reference the Swan Princess episode 9, and yeah. So yes, Mason will be back in the next episodes, so it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. Off to the news.
What news?
That's exactly the question. Are we going to do news anymore on the podcast?
Well, okay, so this is something I've been thinking about. Really, there's tons of news, and you can go to the website, and we have 6 writers who are fabulous, and they write, every single day there's news stories, and they're always on top of it, and they write really, really good, thorough stuff. And I love talking about the news. Mm-hmm. But my problem is, I look back, and I'm like, let's say I wanted to listen to episode 1. It's been a year. So do I go back and then I'm like, yay, Beauty and the Beast, and then I have to wait for all this news that really isn't relevant anymore. I mean, you as a listener, I'm talking to you, listener, right now. You and me, just us. So
I'm not here at all.
Chelsea, go away, please. Just kidding. Oh, I'm sorry. That was mean. I didn't mean it like that.
Okay, I forgive you.
Okay, so do you guys as listeners like the news or do not like the news? I mean, do the news segments kind of date the podcast and make it harder to go back and listen to them later? Or are they really helpful and they're informative? So I'm unsure. I have my opinions, Chelsea has her opinions, but we want to know what your opinions are.
Yeah, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a poll on the Facebook page. And for over the next 2 weeks, it's going to be up and going, and we're going to be deciding this in the next little bit, whether or not we're going to keep the news in the podcast itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let us know. Send us a voicemail. Send us an email. If you like the news, you probably need to be a bit more vocal on this. So that way, because I feel like the people who don't like the news will be just yeah, get rid of it. So definitely, if you have an opinion, go on the Facebook page and let us know. One other option I guess we were considering is still recording the news, but releasing it as a separate, shorter episode on our off weeks. And so this will allow us to put out an episode every week. 1 week will be a movie, and the next week will be a short 30-minute news segment. We'll probably be able to talk about maybe 5 news stories instead of 3, which makes it nice. But, obviously not as many people are going to listen to those episodes. I don't know. Maybe they only listen for the news. They don't care about it.
They really don't care about it.
They don't care about the movies. Yeah. So anyways, just let us know, and we want to make the podcast and the show better for you. So let us know what you like and what you prefer.
Let's go to the movies, Morgan.
The movies!
Yay!
Deep in the forest we go. Creatures are all fast asleep. With a kiss and a wink we will waken our souls. Love is the safety we'll keep. And then we'll dance to the night, till the sunbeams sparkle at dawn. And away we will go like last winter's snow. Soon our work will be done. Oh, gathering now one and all, no matter what we may do. Let the stars fill your soul with the moon brightens young. So to yourself be true.
When this movie came out, I specifically remember pestering Chelsea's sister to buy the movie because I didn't want to buy it myself, but I knew she bought every animated movie around. And did she end up buying it, or was it Ariel's Beginning?
Ariel's Beginning.
Oh, okay, so you don't own this one.
No, we don't.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah,
so
I saw this one on Netflix.
This one's cute. It's on Netflix too?
It is.
Oh, nice.
They just added all of them on Netflix.
Oh, well, the next Chelsea and Morgan movie obviously will be one of these. So this movie, it's produced by DisneyToon Studios. So they're kind of the other Disney animation studio that creates their movies, usually the direct-to-video ones. They do a really good job.
I really like them.
I mean, we saw Planes, and Planes was 5 years later after this one. And Tinkerbell is really pretty. Mm-hmm. I mean, they could have released it as a feature, and I would have liked it, other than the fact that this was the beginning of multiple iterations and versions that they were going to release. I mean, this is our new Land Before Time. Like, I feel like there's going to be 15 of these at one point.
It will.
But they're good quality, right?
Yeah.
So.
And they've done a really good job with storylines so far, as I've seen. So I haven't seen the others. I've only ever seen this one and The Secret of the Wings, so I can't really say that with total...
well, those are like the 2 best ones in my opinion.
Really?
So
Did you see the other 2?
I've seen the 3rd one, and I missed out on the 2nd one because I was on my mission when it came out. So I need to see that one.
Okay.
But okay, so let's talk about Tinkerbell. Mm-hmm. Remember from Destination D?
Yeah.
There was a panel that we saw that was all about Tinkerbell, the evolution of a fairy, basically, and how she came to be. And Tinkerbell originated from J.M. Barrie's play called Peter Pan. And he created, Tinkerbell. And in the play, she's just a little light that gets, flashed on screen. And she kind of twinkles and flickers. And a little bell is obviously the sound that she makes when she's communicating to Peter or some of the other people.
What was cool about that is, at first, they didn't know, the name was Tippy Toe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They were going to call this the little fairy Tippy Toe. And as time went on, when they were practicing for the show, they're everybody knew what this bell was. Well, a tinker is actually somebody who has a cart. They go from place to place, and they, somebody comes out, they hear the bell, and oh, it's time for me to go out to either get them to fix whatever I have or to buy whatever they have to sell.
Yes.
So they're the ones that fix things around the house and that you go back and forth. So everybody knows this bell, and that the bell means it's the Tinkers outside. And, which is really cool. And you watch this in the movie, there are lots of references to the fact that they're just walking around with their little cart and they ring their little bell.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And so I was like, that's awesome. I really like how they threw all that in there. But in the play, they kept going, and every once in a while, they're just that bell, bring in the Tinkerbell. That's how they kind of referenced her. They never referenced her as Tippy Toe. They referenced her amongst themselves as the Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
And so it just stuck at that point. And I thought that's really cute. I like it better, personally,
than
Tippy Toe.
Tippy Toe is kind of dorky. No, we say that now. If it were the other way around, I'd be like, Tinkerbell is so lame. That is a horrible name. But it's actually really cute. I like it. Yeah, so that was one of the highlights of Destination D, was hearing about Tinkerbell, her origins, and the stories. The body double for Tinkerbell was there. And just kind of, there's a new book on Tinkerbell that's coming out, and I don't think it was released at the time. We'll put links to it in the show notes. It's basically a book that histories Tinkerbell and the evolution of her, and not only in the Disney version, but in the play version and other versions of her. So I guess that's why I was so mad that Tinkerbell was given a voice, was because in the original Disney movie, they kind of kept her silent in a way. Like there's like a bell noise in Peter Pan, right? The movie. So, yeah. And I just thought that they should keep it true. But at the same time, like, that's how Tink sounds to the humans, I guess, or whatnot. So when she's within the fairies, obviously, like, we're able to translate that fairy language and into language we can understand. So that's my only, like, way to be okay with this. So I'm over it. I mean, it's really good. I mean, after seeing the movie, it's like, I'd prefer that she didn't have a voice, but that's cool.
Yeah. Okay. Out of all the things at Destination D, that was the thing that surprised me the most as far as how enjoyable learning about Tinkerbell would be. So you can go back to that episode, and we talk a lot more in depth of what happened there, and there's a lot of really fun things that we talk about, too. So that's episode 18, so check it out. But let's start about talking about the actual movie.
Okay.
Come away with me now to the sky, up o'er the hills and the sea, far beyond where our memories lie, to a place where I'm free to be me. Oh, gather ye now one and all, no matter what all ye may do, with the stars fill your soul, when the moon cradles all, so to yourself be true. The blanket of snow is all gone, each flower waits for the sun, and the whispering tears of the rain holds promise for everyone. Then come away with me, friends, no matter where you call your home. With a light in our hearts, we will never part, no matter how far we roam.
So it starts out at the very beginning, and it's just like, they got music going. What did you think about the music?
I liked the music. It was very Disney and, like, like grand in nature, where it's just like this big orchestra or big sounds, and there's a little song at the beginning, right?
It kind of felt like Celtic.
Yeah.
Like, it was interesting. Like, it was like, that's definitely different, and not. I think that's something Toon Studios has like done really good. Like, especially for Planes. Planes is like really big and different as far as an intro to it. So I'm like, I can dig it. It just makes you want to like get up and do a jig. It's fun.
There's kind of a weird song that is sung at the beginning, and that's the beginning. I'm watching this, I'm like, oh no, what is this? You know, we know that direct-to-video songs typically aren't the best unless it's Aladdin, King of Thieves.
That one's great.
I know. But so they play the song, and then all of a sudden, you know, you kind of figure out how fairies are born, and this is true to the original play. Fairies are born from the laughs of babies. So every time a baby laughs, a fairy is born. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, okay, babies cry a lot, but babies also laugh a ton.
No, it's just the first time a baby laughs.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes more sense. So because otherwise I'm like, there's going to be billions of fairies in the world. Okay, so it's equivalent. There's a fairy for every person.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of. Except when there are twins born. But
oh, yes. Yeah. Like weird embryos splitting.
Like the laugh splitting into multiple. No, but that's the actual story. It's like the laugh broke into 1,000 pieces and all went skipping about. Like,
yeah.
That was from Hook. I just remember
nice.
that. Bringing back all of my...
Yes, anything that's related to Peter Pan or Tinkerbell will be brought back in this movie, in this podcast. And so we're introduced to Tinkerbell. She's kind of wearing this little white dress, and it's so funny. It's like she lands right in the middle of this like stadium seating, and all the fairies are just like chilling there. They're like, ooh, new fresh meat, but like they're very endearing and welcoming. They're except for the one, Vidia. So all the fairies are like really excited, and there's definitely this community and family that's established, and so they're just so excited. And Tinkerbell's like, what's going on? She's kind of like waking up, and of course there's the queen there. And then Tinkerbell has to figure out her power to see what you will be for the rest of your life. And these, 12 different objects like hover out of the ground. And
they're ready for this one.
Yeah, there's like, boom, hit the lights. And so Tinkerbell has to choose. Showtime. And of course she goes and she looks at everything, and they're like, well, how will I know? And they're like, oh, you'll know.
Yeah, that's stupid ominous, like,
and so, she's going and she looks at the water thing, and it's like a droplet, and she touches it and it like flops to the ground. Nope. And all the water fairies are like, oh, like really bummed. And so finally she kind of passes this little hammer, and as she's walking by it, it glows and it floats.
Yeah, it's like goes crazy. It's like, woo!
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And so that's obviously she goes and she touches it. It makes me feel like a video game. It's like, the weapon that you're supposed to achieve on a certain level, and you pick it in your hand. So it kind of felt like that. A bit cheesy, but, they did it and it worked. So we discover that her, the type of fairy she's going to be is a tinker fairy, which, as Chelsea explained, tinker fairies, opposed to twinker fairies who twink out. Tinker fairies are those who tinker and fix things. Mm-hmm. So they're basically the carpenters and the
nerds.
for all the other, fairies.
You realize, like, every other group had, like, their cool girl representative, except for the tinkers. You just had the tall fat guy and the short skinny guy. Obviously, we never change. Yeah. The sidekicks. And, like, that's it. They don't have any girls other than Fairy Mary, who's the, kind of the representative, but not really. Like, she's like
the matron.
Yeah, so it's like, obviously, they're waiting for Tinkerbell to come along and take her spot as the female protagonist spot on the
Totally, yeah. She'll win the award for Miss Tinker. Yeah. Miss Tinker Fairy, and then they have the pageant at the end of the year for Miss Overall Fairy, Miss Fairy USA 2013. For real, a fairy beauty pageant would be awesome. Okay, we're doing that.
We should. Oh, man. Here's one other question I had is, like, Miss Mary and Queen Clarion seem to be the only grown-up fairies.
Everyone's like teenagers.
Yeah, they're all like this young, hip little generation, and they're all like the mothers. I think.
Yeah, it's true. There's the other like queens and king fairies that come in too. Like there's the winter fairy, the fall fairy, and whatever. But
which apparently got replaced later.
I know, totally.
Like they didn't really think this out.
You gotta be careful when they do stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's like in Monsters University. Apparently, in the original Monsters Inc., Mike says to Sully like, I thought something like reference like the fourth grade, how we knew each other. You've always been better looking than me since the fourth grade.
Right.
But in the new movie, they meet in college. And so like I saw this interview, the directors were like, yeah, there was really no way to make it work. So we just pretend that it's like a slang term, like a, you know what I mean? Like a thing that you say like, oh, you're.
Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah.
They could have made it work. They could have just said like, I knew of you.
Well, yeah.
We just didn't become friends. It's kind of like you and I.
How they were friends, then enemies, then frenemies, then friends.
Right, exactly. Nice. Awesome. It all comes full circle. Oh, and like you were talking about how it's like they all seem very nice, except for the one.
Vidia.
There's always one brat in there.
Yeah, totally. Like this is like a perfect utopian society of like happy girls and a few males here and there, and like which that's funny thinking about. But fairies don't procreate. They're born from baby's lap, so that's not an issue. So is fairy romance a thing?
Well, yeah, it is, because later on in the other movies,
that's true.
We've dove too much into this.
So, there's Vidia, and what is she? She's just like a superpower fairy. Like,
Yeah, she's the fast wind fairy.
yeah, so it's just so funny how, like, very specific your power can get, and her power is super rare, apparently.
Yeah.
So, like, she basically has no friends. That's why she's bitter, because there's only, like, one of her, so she has to do all the work. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but, apparently there are some elements that are more common than others, and that makes sense. Like the big ones where you'll need a lot of water, you'll need a lot of this, you'll need a lot of sunshine. But yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah. They have to start off the animosity in there by like, oh, Tinkerbell's hammer glowed a lot more than even Vidia's did. Like when she's like, what? Excuse me? Somebody? No, you are not better than me, girl. Newcomer.
Yeah, she's definitely the alpha female, and by Tinkerbell having powers, in the tiger form, are equivalent or better than Vidia is not cool in her book.
Not cool. So also, we get to meet Bubble and Crank. So Bubble is actually voiced by Rob Paulsen. He has a really cool podcast.
I know!
Did you get to listen
Yes,
to
okay, so he has a show called Talkin' Tunes with Rob Paulsen. And this is the guy who was the voice of Yakko Warner from Animaniacs, Pinky from Pinky and the Brain. I mean, he's done tons of stuff.
Much.
He's so talented, and he's just always busy with work, and he has this show, and he just brings on random people. The one I listened to most recently, he brought in the Star Kids, Joe Moses and Joey Richter from A Harry Potter Musical.
Really?
Yeah, and so they're the ones who are doing the new, one of their new things they're going to be doing is Twisted, which is like basically the musical Wicked, how it tells how the Wicked Witch became wicked, but this one tells how Jafar became twisted. So they're doing a parody musical about that, which I think is so hilarious.
Oh, I can't wait.
Awesome, yeah. So it's funny because he just brings on people who he thinks are relevant or cool, people in the industry, and he's just no reservations. Like, he'll bust out into his voices. He'll do Yakko at any time. He'll do Pinky at any time. Like, this guy's so funny. So that's like our podcast listen at the week. Like, if you love animation podcasts, this is probably my number one most recommended podcast. Yeah. And I just started listening to it.
Yeah. So I found it when we did our interview with Bill Farmer way back when, and just fell in love with it. He's really, really great.
Yeah, and he puts it out pretty regularly. So, I mean, he's serious about his podcast. So it's cool to be like, I know him from this, and the fact that he's in Tinkerbell is way cool.
Yeah, and once you listen to him do it, you like hear him everywhere.
You can't unhear him.
Yeah. I know. I can hear Rob Paulsen almost anywhere now. Yeah. Now that I've heard like different voices that he does, like that's so him. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's fun.
So he plays one of the male Tinker Fairies called Bubble, and Crank is the other one.
Yeah. Jeff Bennett plays Crank, and he does Pip in Enchanted when he's in Andalasia.
Yeah.
So he's Pip, the animated voice of him. Because the director of that actually did it in the live action.
This movie's really cool because it's an origin story. We find out who Tinkerbell is, where she came from, how she learns and grows, and obviously this is the first one, so like we know nothing about her except from, the Disney Peter Pan. And they're totally breaking canon, because this is what happens. They start a movie, and then they make other movies down the line, and they want to follow a certain story arc, and they don't realize that they've already kind of established, like, rules in earlier movies. Yeah. Like we were talking about Monsters, Inc. This is one where they break canon because she totally goes into the winter woods. Yeah. And flies around. No big deal. Like, oh, this is so cool. Brr, it's cold. Yeah. It's not, she doesn't, like, her wings don't break. She doesn't realize that, like, her wings should have glowed right there because her sister was born at that point in time. Maybe they need a few months to kind of solidify, but I was like, hey, you can't fly there.
No fly zone, man. And they didn't have the same ruler of the winners as well too, so that was funny. But if you could be any type of fairy, what would you be, Morgan?
Man, it's so funny because there's so many fairies or types of fairies that they don't really introduce us to. Yeah. So let's list them. There's winter fairies, and there's all sorts. So not winter fairies, only spring fairies. So there's Tinker fairies. There's, like, the Fast Fly Fairy, the Sunshine Fairy, the Garden Fairy, Water Fairy, Animal Fairy, which I don't like that one. I'm not an animal person. I love animals, but, like, I don't need to be being with them all the time. So those are, like, the basic, like, big 5 or 6, right? Uh-huh. I mean, no offense, Tinkerbell, I don't think I'd want to be a Tinker Fairy. I'm not really good, like, mechanically.
I'm not either.
And the fact that all these fairies can fly is cool because, you know, people are like, oh, what superpower would you be? It's always, like, one that has, like, something to do with flying.
Right.
So I can fly. Okay, so I can fly. I don't want to be a tinker. I don't want to deal with animals. So don't really have a green thumb. I love the sun being from Arizona, so for that reason alone, I'm going to be the Sunshine Fairy.
I would probably join you with that one. You know, like, we're both... This is how we are. We can't stand... If it goes below 70 degrees...
It's like, where's my sweater?
I need my jacket, like, my parka.
Totally, yeah.
I love those pictures you have of, like, you with, like, your husband's big old hat.
Oh, yeah. It's like that. Those Russian hats, they're fur. They're called shapkas or something. And they're just furry, and then the ears go down, and they're made of, like, wolf fur or rabbit fur or whatever. And yes, I wear fur, okay? So don't get mad at me, okay? So you need it in Russia, because he lived in Russia where it's, like, legitimately cold, right? So we bought this, and here I am. It's December in Arizona. It's, like, 55 degrees. It's meant to be worn in, like, sub-zero temperatures. And I'm just, like, wearing it, big deal. And it was really warm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had one. Man, I'm just not meant for cold. I think that's the difference, is, like, if they didn't go into the summer fairies. So I'd like to see what the summer fairies have to offer before I make my choice in the spring fairies. Like, even spring.
But the spring fairies have, like, all the hard work because they have to, like, regrow everything. And the summer fairies just sort of, like, reap the benefits. Like, it's green. Everything's thriving. It's sunny. Hooray. It's maybe a little hot, but, like, the summer fairies just kick back.
Yeah, so. We do a lot with water. Yeah. I'm already, like, taking myself as part of them.
Awesome. Oh, so, then, Tinkerbell, after she sort of explores, she realizes that her clothes are not cool. And so she kind of has this, like, green leaf frock. And she's like, I'm going Project Runway on you guys. And she, like, snip, 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 and, creates this little tube top, like, cute dress, I would say. Yeah. That becomes so classic in later movies. Snip, snip. You know what that's from?
No.
When she's cutting the clothes. And it's like, snip, snip. I think that's from... Is it from Rescuers Down Under? There's one movie where they go, snip, snip.
Oh, yeah, no, it is. It's like Rescuers Down... Yeah, it is Rescuers Down Under, because it's like the doctor.
Yeah.
As he's, like, working on the albatross.
Yeah.
The bird. What is his name? I don't remember.
I don't know. Can't remember.
Snip, snip.
And she's like, snip, snip, and, creates this little tube top. Like, and I like that, the original movie, it's just, like, green. For simplicity's sake, back in the 50s, that's all you could really do. But then we discover it's actually leaves magically that stay green, even though they are, removed from the plant. But we won't go there.
It's the tinker dust.
The tinker vest? Is that what you said?
No, it's the fairy dust.
Yeah, totally. Oh, yeah, there's the fairy that, like, controls the fairy dust, right?
Right.
There's only, like, one of them.
Uh-huh.
What's his name?
His name is Terrance.
Yes, Terrance.
Yes. But he's
one of the token guys.
Right. But he's played by Jesse McCartney.
Nice.
Like, bringing back the 90s more than ever.
Wow. Wow. I don't even know if he was... Like, deserved that role. Maybe he's moved into voice acting.
He has done a bit more of voice acting. I've looked and seen, because, like... For anybody who doesn't know who Jesse McCartney is, like, he's very, he was the younger brother of one of the Backstreet Boys, was it?
I think so.
And he just became his own little pop star icon for, like, a period of
a year.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 years.
Yeah.
I would give him that. But after that, he kind of just, like, disappeared. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he was our version, not quite, but close to our version of the Biebs.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, even like 1/100th of the Bieber.
If you add like Jesse McCartney with JTT, I think that would be our equivalent.
Oh, JTT. What happened to that kid? Probably doing voice acting now.
Probably. So as the movie goes on, Tinkerbell, she starts talking to Vidia.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, we're kind of the same. Our talents help everybody. And Vidia's like, no. We are so not the same. Like, I am very much higher than you on all levels. So stop. Don't even go there. And Tinkerbell's just like, what? What?
So oblivious.
Yeah.
Just, she's very naive and innocent. She's a newborn.
Yeah.
You know, so she's just like, everyone's my friend.
Right. Wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they be?
Yeah, and that does not go over well. Then Tinkerbell brings this up, the idea that I can't wait to go to the mainland.
Yeah.
And Vidia kind of...
She doesn't tell her.
Yeah, she doesn't tell her, and she kind of exploits this fact.
Yeah.
And is like, oh, this is going to be good. Let's embarrass Tinkerbell at all costs.
Yeah, so after that, they end up going to the, like, Welcome Springtime Festival. That was really funny. Like, they had, even within the Springtime Fairies, they have, like, musicians. I'm thinking, what was your other talent? Like,
Yeah, no, that's their talent, is they provide music to the other fairies, which that's a sweet gig.
That is a good gig.
I mean, you only perform, like, what, a few times a year?
Just to get the
Or
intro.
maybe when the Tinkers are working, it's like a rule, like, we gotta provide music for the Tinkers.
Dance! Yeah, so they're going at it, and then Tinkerbell comes off, and she's just like, hey, guess what, everybody? I got so many cool things that we can take to the mainland. And everyone's like,
Yeah, and by the way, Tinkerbell is the only Tinker here.
yeah.
Because these other fairies get it. Like, yeah, there's no reason for us to be here. We help all the other fairies prepare. I
Right.
mean, it's very much a distribution of power, and they understand their role, and they're okay not going to the mainland.
Right.
But Tinkerbell has amped this up in her mind and is so excited to go. And she appears, and then, yeah, it's just like dropped jaw. Everyone's like,
Yeah. No, she was way too cool to be a tinker. Like, not just a tinker fairy, but, like, she was way too cool to be just where she was.
totally, yeah.
I think that's something that I really liked. She just really was a lot cooler than what the box said.
Yeah.
So I was like, come on, go for it, Tink. Follow your dreams.
Well, and the sad thing about, like, I'm examining the Queen's leadership here.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the Queen just is like, okay, they kind of go with it and let her talk. And then finally, the Queen just calls out Tinkerbell in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Bad form.
Bad form. Bad form.
What's that from?
It's from Hook.
Yeah. And really bad form. And it's, like, embarrassing. Like, could you not have pulled Tinkerbell aside and been like,
Yeah.
oh, by the way, you don't go. You know, just anything. Tell her after the fact. You know, it's just, now Tinkerbell doesn't want to show her face. It's really embarrassing. It's sad. And I don't know. It made me
Like,
think
could
less.
could you not see that coming?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking as the Queen, like, were you not thinking far enough ahead? Like,
Yeah.
if I do this, she's going to be embarrassed and there's just going to be problems.
Yes.
Like, come on. So I was the same. I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, come on, leadership skills. Come on. How to win friends and influence people.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
These are the other books that we read.
Yes, on audible.com. It's true. I just listened to those two.
Really?
Yes, I need to re-listen to 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, because that's more one that you need to, like, have your worksheet ready with you.
It's true.
And, like, I was listening to it while I was cleaning, and I was like, I don't have time to, like, list these goals. And
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, so I need to go back and listen.
Have you listened to
How to Win Friends and Influence People? Of course.
no,
That's not the one you're talking about.
no, Leadership and Self-Deception.
No. I started it, and
one's
the
good.
beginning's, like, really hard to get into.
It is kind of hard to get
So,
into, but
I
like,
stopped.
like the whole thing though, as you listen to it, like you just realize life in general, everything is about being not selfish
Yeah.
and like just getting out of yourself.
I need that.
Like we all do. Like it's really is something that everybody can go listen to. I'm gonna keep this in the podcast just so you guys all know. You can go to therotoscopers.com/audible and you can get your free download. You can pick one of these books because these are really amazing books. Everyone in their life needs to read. I don't care who you are, what you love, do it. You're gonna be dealing with people your entire life.
Yes.
Go for it. So, and rant.
Yes. And on to Tinkerbell. So what happens next is Tinkerbell, she's kind of upset, but she doesn't, like, run away or fly away, right? So
Right.
that's good. She goes back, and then she realizes, well, maybe I can learn. I mean, how did she get this idea in her head that she can learn other
She
talents?
just sees everybody else, and everybody else is going, so she's like, well, I can do somebody else. I can be somebody
I don't want to
else.
be a tinker anymore.
Right,
Tinkers aren't cool.
right.
Garden fairies are cool.
Garden
Yeah.
fairies.
So she goes on this kind of adventure trying to learn other skills. And the very first one they do is water. And they learn very quickly in these little vignettes that Tinkerbell is just not meant to be these other traits, these other
Right.
fairies. She's not good at controlling water. She's not good at, handling animals. She's like me. You know, so all these things, and it's just not working.
Yeah.
So you can tell where the moral of this story is going to be going.
Well, do you know what, though? I saw a moral in this for, like, businesses as well.
Tell me more.
I'm sure you want to know.
I know where this is going, but...
Well, it's like marketing yourself, like finding out where you fit and market it to the best of your ability. Like, I mean, it's all in like the range of specialization. Everybody needs to be more specialized and do one thing really, really well. But I saw it as something like everybody plays a part, and if you can just play your part to the best, you're going to get rewarded for it. And you can still expound on who you are. You just got to get the basics down and then expound. And that's what Tinkerbell does. Like, she's like, okay.
True.
Like, later on through the movie, like, she just like, okay, now I'm here. And then later on, she's like, okay, I can expound on what I've done and make it worthwhile to everybody else.
Because she realizes that, okay, it's the moral, you know, that non-business that they're trying to say is that, like, you are who you are, and you need to love yourself for your strengths and not try to be someone you aren't. So very, very literally, don't try to be a garden fairy. Don't try to be a water fairy. And when you're a tinker fairy, like, you... embrace it, like embrace your heritage, embrace your culture, and go with it. And then, like you said, expound on that, make it better. Like, be a contributor in your society, which she was. I mean, she was the best of all the tinkers. Let's be honest. That's why hers glowed more than anyone else's. So
yeah, she was cool. I liked it. But one of my favorite parts is when she was trying to be the animal fairy. Yeah, she's talking to herself, and she's like, "Okay, just smile and establish trust." And then she goes right up, "Hi there!" like right in the bird's face, and he's like,
"Oh my gosh, yes, that's so funny."
It was like scaring everybody, and everyone's like, "Oh, not good, not good." She was just too cool for Pixie Hollow.
Yeah.
So there are these things called a sprinting thistle. So they're just like basically burrs like that run around and like catch on everybody, and everybody hates them, and they're all in this like field that they just kind of stay there, and every once in a while they may get out, but not really. But Vidia decides to tell Tinkerbell, here's what you're gonna do to really impress everybody. You're gonna want to just corral all these sprinting thistles over here, and then you are gonna be the pixie in Pixie Hollow. And obviously this ruins everything. Like, the sprinting thistles get out of hand, they end up going and ruining all of the preparations for spring, and they're all just saying, you know what, our year is crashed. It's basically like famine has hit the land. Like, so all of the leaders from the different seasons come together, and they're talking with Queen Clarion, and how do we fix this all? But there's no way we can be ready to go with spring yet once this flower that marking time blooms. But then, come to the rescue. Tinkerbell has gone through, and she's realized, I'm going to make whatever I did better. And she goes and creates little machines and gadgets for every one of the fairies.
With her lost things.
Yes,
right?
All of her lost things that she's kind of gathered together. Things that all the other fairies kind of just forget about and like, ew, gross.
Yeah.
It's junk. But here's the funny thing I thought about that one is, at this point in time, Tinkerbell really did just outwit and made every other fairy useless. Because she's gone through, and the painter fairies that paint all the ladybugs, they no longer have a job because Tinkerbell just made a machine that can replace you. Like, there's a little bit of a conversation of industrialization in this movie, which I thought was really funny. But everyone's working together for spring to get it all back, and it ends up working out. So.
Yeah. Does she end up going?
She does end up going, because Fairy Mary actually finds this music box that Tinkerbell had put together, and Queen Clarion said, somebody is missing this, and it is now your job to return it to them.
Oh.
And it was really cute, because Tinkerbell then takes it back and finds the place, like, how will I know? Oh, you'll know. The obvious...
Don't ask questions. Just...
like, I don't know. Just go. Just go, okay? So she goes and finds the place where it should be, leaves it on the windowsill, and we find out later that this girl that this little music box belonged to was Wendy.
Aww. It's all coming full circle.
I just spoiled the entire thing for you guys, but hey.
So this is a good movie. I liked it. I liked it a lot, because really good storytelling. It wasn't just a cheap direct-to-video sequel or movie in this case. High-quality animation, great voice talent. Like, I love... I'm talking about Rob Paulsen. I love when they bring in professional voice actors for stuff. Majority of these people... they're nobodies in Hollywood, in the live action realm. But they are very talented in when it comes to animation.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere. They're in all these different things. And so I'm glad that they didn't try to, they went away from Brittany Murphy to someone who was even less known at the time. I don't think she does very much live action stuff. Mae Whitman, she still does a lot of animation stuff. But so I definitely appreciated very great voice casting here and great performances. Which they continue on through the other movies. Jesse McCartney, I guess, aside.
Well, but that's what he does. Yeah. He's in other movies.
He's changed his position. He's like, I'm not a singer anymore, but if you need me to sing, I got my guitar. Ding, 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 ding. So, really good. And I would give this movie 4 stars. It's good. And I'm unabashedly a lover of this movie. I went into it back in 2008, wanting to hate it, but secretly wanting to love it. And they did a really good job. John Lasseter was kind of, in charge of DisneyToon Studios and making sure they put out really high quality products, and they do. So it makes me excited to see the other ones, this one.
Yeah. I think I loved more so knowing the story of, the Tinkers and how it all goes together. That just, it had so much more of a depth to it. They really did do their research.
Yeah.
In going into these. And, for example, the very end, when Tinkerbell returns the broken music box that she had fixed and she puts it there, she does a little something and it rings a bell. And I'm like, that is so cute because it's the Tinker Bell.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with little things like that.
I think they, if you hadn't known what a Tinker was and the whole backstory, you just think it's a clever way that they did a little play on words with her name. Oh, her name's Tinker Bell, so let's invent this thing called Tinkers.
Yeah.
It works even if you don't know what a tinker is. You can kind of piece it together. A tinker is someone who messes and fiddles with something until it works.
Right.
But there's a reason why the Tinkers were originally called Tinkers, because that's what they did. So I liked that too. I thought that was well done.
Yeah. And then at the very end, the music box plays and it starts doing like reindeer in the sky. I was like, the nostalgia level just pipes it up at the end. I loved it.
So that was a really fun episode.
I know.
Another Morgan Chelsea classic.
We always get into really random things, too.
I know. So
this really is our conversations.
Yeah. This isn't scripted. We don't have a script in front of us. We have a few bullet points of basic things we want to talk about, but the chemistry is real between she and I. And the laughter.
Oh, man.
Fairies.
If
fairies were born not from the first laughter, but from every laughter, we would produce a lot of things.
We would.
So thanks everybody for listening. Let us know about what you think about the news. We're going to put that on our Facebook page. So give us your feedback, and I guess you'll find out next episode what we decided. News or no news? That is the question.
'Tis a very good question indeed. Check us out online at www.therotoscopers.com. You can also go to our Twitter at The Rotoscopers, Tumblr, Facebook. You can also find us on Hypable and animatedviews.com.
Oh, yeah. So speaking of Hypable, we love Hypable. They're really cool and awesome. And Andrew Sims, who runs Hypable, is doing a lot of great things over at that website. So if you're fans of certain fandoms, maybe there's new TV shows that come out and you're like, oh, I just want to talk about this, go there because they most likely have a fandom for it. But they released a new podcast called Hype. And so they'd kind of done Hype before, but there wasn't really a consistent schedule. It'd go, every week and then, a few months. So they redid it, starting all from scratch. And I think they're on episode 6. And they just talk about that week's hype in news, in entertainment, in stories. They do recommendations for TV series to watch or movies. And it's Andrew and a few other of the main writers on Hypable. Great discussion, really funny, and it's kind of quick. They don't really linger on topics too long, maybe 5 minutes per thing, and they move. I've gotten a lot of really good book recommendations from them because these books become fandoms, and then since they're fandoms, they talk about them on Hypable. So one that I really want to read is called Divergent. I don't even know what it's about. I know there's 3 of them, and so I really want to read it because they just keep talking about it like it's really cool and awesome. So if you're kind of like, I want to know what's cool, I want to know what's awesome in the world, and I need ideas, check out Hype. So go to hypable.com, go to their podcast link, and Hype. That's a really good one that they put out every week. So really great stuff.
You can find Morgan on her personal Twitter, Morgan Stradling. Morgan is awesome.
Oh, well, thank you.
I love your Twitter. It's funny.
It's my inner monologue. So if I think it, I tweet it. That's my thing. And I probably offend some people here and there, but I don't care. It's just me. So yeah, I like to tweet a lot, much more than Facebook, I've discovered.
Really?
But Facebook is definitely more for conversations. Yeah. Because you can see them and you can link to them. And Twitter's a lot harder. But Twitter is definitely more appropriate for like the stream of consciousness all the time.
For sure.
You know, and if you did that on Facebook, people would unfriend you all over the place.
Right.
So, you know, when people unfriend me on Twitter, I'm like, well, sorry. Apparently you don't like 10 to 5 tweets a day. Too bad. But
yeah, I don't do as much on Twitter, but I do have random things on Twitter.
Yeah, Chelsea has some good stuff.
I normally, like, I'll put a few things out there that are really funny in my day, or just random rants that I'm like really ticked off on something. Yeah. Like that's the general feed on my Twitter. I'm on Instagram as well. Like
Instagram's cool. Yeah, same screen names.
Yeah,
Morgan Stradling, Chelsea Robson.
Basically, anywhere you go, like just look for us, and we might be on there.
Yeah, most likely. So it's really fun. So just check us out on there. Of course, the Rotoscopers Twitter is fun because news stories get posted on there all the time. So every news story will get posted, get a lot of retweets, and a lot of conversation happens there. I stopped automatically posting our news stories to the Facebook because there was just too much going on the Facebook, and I didn't feel that like it was as good. Facebook's meant for like Facebook stuff, you know, and so I'll put podcasts on there. I'll put a few really important news stories, and it's more for us to just like talk with you guys and have conversations. So reach out to us on Facebook, ask us questions, we'll ask questions, and Twitter's more just for fun, like all the time stuff. So.
News and info and just like whatever.
Yeah.
We also got our YouTube.
Oh, YouTube!
So our next YouTube video, next couple videos are, we got a lot of DVD and Blu-ray reviews. Those are fun.
Yes.
But we also have more things about Frozen coming out.
Ooh, we've been teasing it for a long time, and we've been so reluctant because we don't want to spoil the movie.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be that guy, right?
Yeah.
So this one we decided, okay, we're not going to spoil the movie, but we're going to talk about Hans. And we're going to talk about other characters who are important and kind of what we know and kind of like spoilers for like the first half, I guess, but not the end.
Yeah, we try to stay away from end because I want to be surprised when I go to see these things. That's like half the fun when you're like, oh, that initial spark. So we're not those girls.
Those girls. Totally. So thanks for listening, everybody. And you can send us an email at therotoscopers@gmail.com or a voicemail.
Voicemails are awesome.
Voicemails are so cool. Like, honestly, okay, voicemails max are 90 seconds long because that's the service we use. They can be 90 seconds. But if you send us a voicemail, it's 100% that you will get put on the show.
Yeah.
Sometimes with the mailbag, they kind of get pushed, a month
here
down the road and
yeah.
here and there. So it's kind of hard, especially, and if you are sending an email, like keep it 1 or 2 paragraphs. Or just let us know what part you want us to read on the air and then let the other stuff. I don't know. But we love the emails. I send them all to Chelsea and I'm like, yeah, read these. It's so awesome. Yay.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
And voicemails are really cool because it's like we get to hear your voices.
Which, like, you guys know what we sound like, but we don't know who you are. And this, like, adds so much more depth to, like, there are people out there.
They're people. They're not just little twinkling bells. So, yeah, send us voicemail, the Rotoscopers/voicemail. So this has been a fun episode.
I love this episode.
Tinkerbell is awesome. That's basically our statement.
Yes.
I was Tinkerbell for Halloween one year.
Really?
Yeah.
I had thought about
I have the costume. You can use it if you need to.
Okay.
It's sparkly. So, thanks, guys. Until next time,
we are the Rotoscopers.
If you haven't seen Arrested Development, go check it out.
Yeah.
Rotoscopers.com/Netflix. It's free on there. So
is it really on Netflix?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Did you not know?
I didn't
Netflix,
know that.
It's on Netflix, but Netflix bought the rights to produce a 4th season and a full-length movie that comes out at the end of May.
Oh.
So
wait,
yeah.
This
Yes, this month.
What?
I'm having an Arrested Development party. You can totally come.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're gonna watch
it
them.
needs to be before the 22nd.
Oh, well, it doesn't come out till the 26th.
No. Oh. Well, there goes our Arrested Development.
There's our blooper.
Rant.